Just arriving at Blue Ridge Gap to start the day off. Big crew heading up north from here, and the rain has stopped. Should be a good day. So here's a very cool sight. My first state border. Welcome to North Carolina. See you later, Georgia. Here are a couple of friends from the bubble. We all started together this morning, but I thought it was occurring to me as I came up here that Di, if you were here, you would do a handstand at every single one of the state crossings, which would be super cool. And so in your honor, I can't do a handstand. I'm going to suggest you turn your head upside down and pretend that I'm upside down instead of you. And that's my handstand. Cheers. Changing conditions just across the border. It's fully cold up here. So doubling back up. The sun decided to get back behind the clouds, but it's really pretty. This is Bly Gap with a much photographed, really beautiful gnarly tree with some pretty gnarly wintry conditions to go with it. This one you may see in some photos and paintings. Nobody ever takes video of the uphills, and that's why it looks so easy on the videos. But this is what you spend a third of your time doing. At least it's air conditioned today. Sun just came out. It's a little fleeting, but here it comes again. And the fog and mist and rime ice and sort of icy wind has died down. And it's only been about 45 minutes or so since that last video. Things change really quick. It's getting really nice. I hope this wind stays low or gets lower. It's not too bad now, but I hope it's not like it was earlier tonight. It would make it for a potentially cold night. So it's getting pretty. Found a nice kind of sunny spot for lunch. Lunch is a tortilla, wrapping a double-sized portion of Hormel deviled chicken. And it tastes fantastic. It's the end of day 11. I'm at Standing Indian Shelter. I thought I'd show you what a shelter looks like. It's pretty bare bones. People tend to sleep around them a lot, particularly, I think, after COVID, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a lot of people are planning to stay in the shelters, but you usually have a little broom to clean up. This is a shelter log in here. Everybody who visits signs it, in theory. Somebody left their boots here, which is a major no-no. It's a leave no trace. In fact, there's a poster about leave no trace right there. Never supposed to leave anything of any type. But people just sleep right here on the flat part. And they do tend to get a lot of mice. So what people do is they hang their food from a string, and oftentimes with something above, like a tin can or a piece of a water bottle, to try to make it so the mice can't climb down the little ropes. Even that's not really considered a good way to do it, because the bears, you don't want the bears coming up and checking things out that close to the people. Anyway, that's a shelter. Some of them are double-decker. They're kind of cool. Maybe I'll take some more as I get to them. I'm trying to stay near a shelter just in case it does get too cold for my setup as I'm getting used to it. I could take my pad and my sleeping bag and my liner, and I know I would be more than safe in a shelter, and probably toasty warm. So it's been a really cool couple of days at the hostel, as I'm sure you figured out by now. Just so interesting, the people that you meet. There was a woman with 3 daughters hiking the trail, teenage daughters, which is, really something. There's a woman who is just finishing med school and lives in the back of her Prius because it's expensive. That was really eye-opening. I introduced you to Mischief, the guy who's had half his feet amputated and still hikes. If you didn't watch his story, I'll give it to you real quick. He fell on a winter hike while he was getting water, got hit on the head and concussed, and didn't wake up for, I think, like 8 hours. And during that time, his feet were in the water source. And so he had to crawl out to a shelter. His feet were obviously numb and useless and frostbitten. And it took a couple of days for him to get evacuated. And during that time, he went through freezing temperatures. And he's still out here hiking. And I just find that really inspiring. And not a guy that I would probably have met any other way. So it's really interesting. Lisa and Gordon, who run the hostel, both professionals who have punted their professional careers. She's a pharmacist. He was a sales and finance manager at an auto dealership, and they're going full-time with the hostel. So just all these really interesting people, all different walks of life. Guy from Guam who's moving back after 40 years, lived in Maine, moved to Guam, has gotten all his stuff back to the U.S., doesn't know what he's going to do yet, but he's going to hike the trail first. It goes on and on. So it's just really interesting. And weather looks good for the next 2 days. Then it turns to crap for 5 days. So it looks like 1 to 2 inches of rain on Tuesday night. So I've booked myself into a bed and breakfast in Franklin, which will be, a nice alternative to 1 to 2 inches of rain. It's kind of a bummer because it once again takes down the potential mileage. Only did 10 miles today. I probably could have done at least 12 or 13. But, I got to measure it all out so that I'm where I want to be when I need to be there. And it's supposed to be cold tonight, 20 down in the valley, so it's probably going to be 15 or so here. So it's another good night for me to just really validate that I'm comfortable in my gear. Totally safe, but I want to be comfortable. Anyway, I'll let you know tomorrow morning how it was. One thing I forgot to add at the hostel, very cool. The owner is really good friends with Tom Brady, and now that Brady is retired, he called him up and said, hey, will you come and give a quick pep talk to all of the AT thru hikers that are hanging around. So Brady showed up in the morning and took a look at all of us laying around the sofas and eating our breakfast and looking lazy. And he gave us this pep talk. It went like this. Hike!